Texas, land of endless plains, oil towns, and wide horizons. But beneath the cowboy legends and frontier pride, the Lone Star State carries shadows that refuse to fade. From haunted hotels where guests never checked out, to ghost towns abandoned to silence, to desolate plains where phantom riders still gallop through the night. Texas is a land where history and horror collide. Tonight, we step into its darkest corners. Listen carefully, and you might hear the whispers of spirits that still roam the desert wind. Hotel Galvez, Galveston, TX. Along the Gulf Coast stands the Hotel Galvez, a grand resort known as the Queen of the Gulf. But beneath its polished floors and ocean views, the Galvez harbors a darker reputation as one of the most haunted hotels in Texas. The most famous spirit is the Lovelorn Lady. According to legend, a young bride-to-be checked into room 501 in the 1950s. When her fiancé's ship failed to return from sea, she hanged herself in despair. Tragically, the ship did return days later, its crew unaware of her fate. Guests staying in her room report flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and the strong scent of gardenia perfume the same flowers she once carried. Some have even seen her reflection in the mirror, staring back with hollow eyes. The hotel has other restless spirits as well. Children are often heard running and laughing in the halls, only for the corridors to be empty upon inspection. In the lobby, staff claim to see shadowy figures drifting past the grand staircase. Guests lying in bed have felt hands pressed down on their shoulders, only to find no one there. Hurricanes have repeatedly battered Galveston, and the hotel itself has stood through storms that claimed thousands of lives. Many believe the tragedies of the island at the Great Storm of 1900 especially left imprints that the Galvez carries to this day. To stay at the Galvez is to walk a line between comfort and dread. As the waves crash against the shore and the wind rattles the windows, you may wonder, is it the sea that calls in the night, or something far older, waiting in the darkened halls? Magnolia Hotel, seguinte chase. At first glance, the Magnolia Hotel in Seguin looks like a relic of southern charm, its pale walls and verandas evoking the 19th century. But behind its doors is a history steeped in violence, tragedy, and lingering spirits that make it one of the most haunted hotels in Texas. Built in the 1840s, the Magnolia has served many purposes: a stagecoach stop, a courthouse, even a private residence. But its walls have also witnessed hangings, murders, and the deaths of countless travelers who never finished their journeys. Today, the building has been restored, but the souls within have not found peace. Guests and paranormal investigators speak of apparitions appearing in mirrors, their faces pale and twisted with sorrow. One of the hotel's most infamous ghosts is that of a convicted murderer who was once chained to the floor in the basement before his execution. Visitors still report the sound of chains rattling and a malevolent presence lurking in the dark. Another spirit, believed to be that of a young woman who died tragically, often appears in guest rooms. She is seen weeping at the foot of the bed, her form glowing faintly before dissolving into thin air. Children's laughter has also been heard echoing through the halls, though no children are present. Perhaps most chilling are the accounts of sudden, oppressive dread and energy so heavy that guests feel paralyzed, unable to move until it passes. Some leave in the middle of the night, convinced that something was watching them from the shadows. The Magnolia Hotel may welcome visitors today, but its walls are more prison than refuge. Stay too long, and you might find the past doesn't just haunt you, it claims you. 3 Alamo Mission, San Antonio, TX. Few places in Texas are more legendary than the Alamo. Known for the 1836 battle where outnumbered Texian defenders fell to Santa Anna's army, the Alamo has become a symbol of sacrifice and courage. But with over 600 dead, it has also become one of the most haunted landmarks in the state. Almost immediately after the battle, Mexican soldiers reported seeing ghostly figures rising from the smoke, as though the fallen refused to leave their posts. Even today, visitors claim to see spectral men standing along the ramparts, muskets in hand, their faces grim but determined. The chapel is said to be the most active. Guests describe sudden chills, disembodied prayers, and the sensation of invisible eyes watching from the shadows. Guards patrolling at night have refused to walk alone after encountering figures that vanish when approached. Some have even reported hearing phantom battle cries, shouts of "Remember the Alamo" ringing through the air long after midnight. Legends speak of a ghostly monk who roams the courtyard, warning intruders away, and of restless soldiers who patrol the grounds, bound by duty even in death. Paranormal investigators have captured voices on tape, whispers in both English and Spanish, echoing from empty rooms. The Alamo is more than a monument, it is a grave. Every stone, every wall carries the weight of blood spilled upon it. And when you stand there in the stillness of night, you may realize the defenders never stopped fighting. They are still there, guarding their final post. Turlingua Ghost Town, Turlingua, TX. Out in the Chihuahuan desert, beneath skies so vast they feel endless, lies the ghost town of Turlingua. Once a thriving mercury mining settlement in the early 1900s, it collapsed into silence after the mines closed and disease swept through. What remains is a scattering of crumbling adobe homes, a lone cemetery, and a desert wind that never quite dies down. Visitors who wander Turlingua after sunset report strange shapes moving among the ruined shadows that slip between doorways, though no one lives there. In the cemetery, crude wooden crosses tilt at odd angles, marking graves of miners and children who never left. Some say you can hear soft weeping carried on the desert wind, or even the faint clink of mining tools echoing in the distance. The Starlight Theater, once the town's centerpiece, has its share of stories. Guests describe hearing phantom applause in the empty hall, as though performances still continue in another realm. Others have felt sudden cold spots in the heat of summer, the chill of unseen presences brushing past. Locals claim that during a full moon, ghostly lantern lights can be seen bobbing across the desert hills, as if miners are still searching for the silver ore that never came. A few travelers say they've awoken in their rooms to find spectral figures standing in the doorway, silently watching until dawn. Turlingua may now attract tourists with its ghost town allure, but beneath the rustic charm lies a sorrow that never truly left. Out here, the desert doesn't just hold silence, it holds memories that walk on long after the living are gone. Baker Hotel, Mineral Wells, TX. In the town of Mineral Wells, the Baker Hotel rises like a decaying giant over the streets below. When it opened in 1929, it was a beacon of luxury, lavish ballrooms, mineral baths, and grand chandeliers. But behind its glamorous facade, the Baker also hid scandal, heartbreak, and death. By the time it closed in 1972, the hotel had already become one of the most haunted sites in Texas. Visitors and urban explorers claim the hotel hums with activity even in ruin. The most famous spirit is that of the Lady in White, believed to be the mistress of the hotel's manager. After years of secrecy and heartbreak, she leapt to her death from the 7th floor. Today, her apparition drifts through the empty hallways, the scent of her perfume trailing in the air before vanishing. Others report seeing soldiers wandering the ballrooms, still clad in World War II uniforms. Guests hear music from long-dead orchestras, the faint clinking of glasses, and laughter echoing through the grand dining hall, phantoms reliving parties that ended decades ago. The elevator is notorious for opening and closing on its own, often on the 7th floor, as though summoned by unseen hands. Shadowy figures appear in the windows at night, staring silently at the streets below. Paranormal investigators who have stayed inside speak of overwhelming feelings of dread, as though the walls themselves are watching. The Baker Hotel is set for restoration, but no amount of paint or polish can erase the ghosts that linger. For when you step into its faded grandeur, you may feel you've interrupted a party that never truly ended. 6. Yorktown Memorial Hospital, Yorktown, TX. On the edge of a quiet Texas town stands a crumbling relic of suffering, the Yorktown Memorial Hospital. Built in the 1950s and operated by the Felician Sisters of the Catholic Church, it once treated the sick and the dying. By the time it closed in the 1980s, the building had already earned a reputation not just for death, but for something far more sinister. Step through its broken doors and you're met with long, narrow hallways lined with peeling paint and rusted gurneys. The air feels heavy, stale, as though the building itself is exhaling. Visitors describe hearing whispered prayers in the chapel, only to find it empty. In the surgical wing, shadows dart across the walls, accompanied by the sharp scent of antiseptic that lingers decades after its last patient left. The hospital is infamous among paranormal investigators. Many claim to have been scratched by unseen hands or shoved violently in the stairwell. Disembodied voices are often captured on recorders, raspy warnings like "Get out" or "Don't touch me." Some say the spirits of patients still roam the wards, confused and restless, while others insist darker entities prowl the halls, feeding off the lingering pain. One unsettling legend centers on the basement. Locals whisper of a malevolent presence that resides there, something inhuman. Visitors report sudden nausea, overwhelming dread, and even black shadows that loom taller than any man, watching silently from the corners. The Yorktown Memorial Hospital is no longer a place of healing. It is a mausoleum of unfinished stories, where every creak of the floorboards feels like the dead stirring awake. Would you walk its halls after dark, knowing you may not walk back out the same? Presidio La Bahia, Goliad, TX. Along the San Antonio River in Goliad stands Presidio La Bahia, a Spanish mission fort with walls that have witnessed centuries of bloodshed. Built in the 1740s, it was the site of one of the darkest moments in Texas history, the Goliad Massacre. In 1836, over 300 Texian soldiers were executed here under orders from Santa Anna. Their bodies were left unburied, and the fort has never shaken free from that shadow. Visitors stepping through its arched gates often feel an oppressive heaviness, as though the air itself carries sorrow. Soldiers in ragged uniforms are seen wandering the grounds, rifles in hand, only to fade when approached. Some have heard the unmistakable sound of gunfire echoing across the empty fort, followed by cries of agony carried on the wind. The chapel is particularly haunted. Guests describe candles blowing out on their own and a lingering scent of gunpowder that clings to the air. In the silence of night, faint hymns are said to rise from within the stone walls, sung by voices that should no longer exist. One chilling tale comes from a traveler who claimed he awoke in the barracks to see dozens of ghostly soldiers staring at him, their faces pale, their eyes empty. When he blinked, they were gone, leaving only the echo of boots marching into the distance. Presidio La Bahia is more than just a historical monument. It is a graveyard carved into stone, where the cries of the fallen refuse to fade. Stand within its walls long enough, and you might hear them still. 8. The Jefferson Hotel, Jefferson TX. Tucked away in the historic town of Jefferson, this 19th century hotel looks inviting with its balconies and southern charm. But for those who stay overnight, charm quickly turns to dread. The Jefferson Hotel is often called one of the most haunted places in Texas, and with good reason. Guests report hearing phantom footsteps pacing the hallways at all hours. Doors slam shut with a force no draft could cause, and whispers drift through the rooms as though invisible guests are still conversing in the night. One of the most infamous spirits is known simply as the Vanishing Man. He's seen standing at the end of a hallway, tall and dark, only to disappear when approached. Room 19 is said to be cursed. Guests who've stayed there tell of lights turning on and off by themselves, furniture moving, and the feeling of being watched while they sleep. Some even wake to find shadowy figures standing over them, only to vanish when they blink. One terrified guest left in the middle of the night after seeing bloody handprints appear on the bathroom mirror. Locals say the hotel's past filled with tales of murder, secret lovers, and tragedy has bound restless spirits to its walls. Some visitors never even make it through the night before fleeing in terror. When the town grows silent and the moon casts pale light across the balconies, the Jefferson Hotel breathes with a life of its own. Would you dare book a room, knowing you may not be sleeping alone? Marfa Lights, Marfa TX. On the lonely desert plains outside the small town of Marfa, strange orbs of light flicker across the horizon. Locals call them the Marfa Lights, and for over a century they've baffled scientists, skeptics, and believers alike. The lights appear without warning, glowing balls, red, white, or yellow, dancing across the desert sky. Sometimes they hover, sometimes they dart, and sometimes they split into two before merging back together. The area is flat and barren, with no roads or sources of reflection. Yet the lights return, again and again, as if tied to the land itself. Legend has it the lights are spirits of Apache warriors, still roaming their sacred ground. Others say they're ghostly lanterns carried by long-dead travelers, forever searching for a way home. Some believe they are omens, warnings of death and disaster to come. Those who've seen them up close describe feelings of unease, as though being watched. A few visitors claim the lights seem to follow their cars, keeping pace until vanishing into the desert. Photographs and videos exist, but none truly capture the chilling strangeness of seeing them with your own eyes. On still desert nights, when the stars blaze above, the Marfa Lights rise from the horizon like restless souls refusing to rest. Are they a natural phenomenon or the desert's way of reminding us that not everything can be explained? 10. The Driskill Hotel, Austin TX. Downtown Austin bustles with music, lights, and life. But rising above the noise stands a hotel that has kept its secrets for nearly 140 years. The Driskill, built in 1886 by cattle baron Jesse Driskill, was once a symbol of Texas luxury. Now, it's a symbol of something else entirely, unrest that lingers long after checkout. Guests report wandering the gilded halls only to find themselves stalked by unseen presences. One of the most famous spirits is Jesse Driskill himself. Bankrupt and broken after building the hotel, he died just 2 years later. Visitors say his cigar smoke still drifts through the lobby, and his heavy footsteps echo in the night. Then there are the children. In 1887, the daughter of a senator died tragically on the grand staircase, tumbling to her death. Guests have heard the sound of a bouncing ball in the empty halls, followed by soft giggles that stop abruptly. On the fourth floor, another young girl spirit, this one said to have died in the 1930s, appears clutching a favorite doll, her ghostly form reflected in mirrors before vanishing. The Driskill is also known for phantom brides. In one story, a heartbroken woman who shot herself in the hotel bathroom is said to still wander the corridors, her sobs echoing through locked doors. Some even claim they've seen her in a wedding gown, moving silently down the hall. To walk the Driskill after midnight is to walk among history and tragedy, wrapped in velvet and gold. But luxury can't mask the truth. The hotel is alive with the dead. The shadows of Texas will linger long after this video ends. But they are not the only ones. Across America and far beyond, haunted prisons, ghost towns, and cursed lands are still waiting to be explored. If you felt the chill tonight, don't walk away like this video. Leave a comment with the haunted place you fear most, and subscribe so you'll be with us when we return to the darkness. The next story may be closer than you think.